Hello everyone, my name is Overdrive, and yesterday some more Let's Play Xenoblade Chronicles X. During the last episode, I don't actually remember what we did, but today we're gonna be doing a little bit of a special mission. As today we'll be only taking care of one mission. And all we gotta do is go right outside the outfitter test hangar. Clip clop, clip clop. Do you hear that? The footsteps? Is that death creeping up behind you? Anyway, it just brings you closer to your handle and then begins. Good morning, good morning. Who are you? No, I'm hanging up. I'm totally hanging up. Aha, patience, friend, patience! You wouldn't want to miss the blood lobster's helpful hint, would you? But first, pick a game. Do you see a toy in front of you? If you don't, boom! It's through click like the Oh wait, does he just repeat? Oh, no, he just repeated himself. Okay, I'm sorry I haven't read the text in quite a while. Also, this episode is posted if you didn't figure that out. Let's just hurl it. Oh, shit. I am the Blood Rumster. Grim Reaper of New LA, you owe your life to me. Human Xenos, none of it matters. This rotten arc of everyone will land and fall. If you will, the little heartbeats. I left a few hundred of those babies going on into the city. I hear Dad's footsteps and are running to beat and a bang. Mission Rise of the Blood Lobster. Now, this mission is probably one of the most infamous in the entirety of the game. But I'll go over that in time. Now run! Run and suffer! Dance to the mad tune of your own insufferable fugitiveness or something along these lines. Oh, I almost forgot to mention something important. Which is... Come on, Oliver, just press A. Okay, there we go. I left some feisty little babies in places that can only be reached by scale. If you don't have one, it's time to pull out those grown-up pants. That's all for now. The next thing you want to hear will be boom! Yeah, keep it on your laugh. Now, Rise of the Blood Lobster, like I said, is probably the most infamous mission in the entire game. Why? Because you have to collect 99 hidden stuffed lobsters, and most of them are in very, very hard locations to find or just to locate in general, or just in very specific location. And when he said he placed them in locations that only Scale could access, he did not lie. There are a lot of places that you wouldn't go and check in the city, and you really have to scavenge the entirety of the region. Luckily for us, today we shall collect 98 of those red lobsters. Now, most people will probably ask me why we won't even complete the mission today. Is because to collect the 99 stuffed lobster, you need to have a special requirement that we have not yet done. And not only that, it's actually very difficult just to get to that point, and it's such a late post-game thing that I figured it's probably better if I just showed you how to get it late game than, well, late story game rather than heavily, you know, later when nobody's even watching, even though already nobody's watching. But that's a different issue for the matter. So, as you're gonna be seeing, we're gonna sit around just for like 17 minutes, and I'll just show you in general what is up with that specific mission. Now, the thing, like I said, the fact of the matter is that he specifically tells you to have a scale for certain lobsters is actually pretty confusing. You can access this mission, even though you can't complete it. You can access this mission, I believe, after chapter 3. I'm not exactly 100% sure about this, but it's either chapter 3 or chapter 5 that you can basically access this mission. And since you can only get the scale after completing chapter 6, and you know that's not even the scale flight module, which you do need for some lobsters actually. As you can see here, that's only a location that a scale could get, and there are far, you know, there are other ones that are even more complicated. And not only that you need a scale, you also need to have the sky flight module. So even though you can access the mission really early on in your in the story, you do need to progress it a lot before gaining, well, 98 of those. And to basically not only get 49 and just access the midpoint of the mission. I figured it was much better for me to just get everything. So, well, get everything I need to basically complete almost the entirety of the mission. Now, there are a few changes here and there that I could like be a little bit better. Personally, I like to do this mission across the story, but since this is a Let's Play, it's basically useless for me to just gather them all across. And this is, after all, this is kind of a guide, so I'm trying to guide you through every lobster that they are. Of course, that's not to say that's a guarantee, like, fuck yeah, we'll get everything in one go, no problem. It's not exactly like that, but with that said, it also gives me some time to talk about something else. There have been many mechanics that I haven't had the opportunity of talking about, so I figured this is probably one of the best episodes to do so. Not only that, but it's very easy actually to talk over this, since basically what you see is what you get. You get the location on the top right of the screen, which tells you the district, the time of the day, the placement in the minimap. So I think you should have a general idea of where all these things are just from visual stimulus and locations. With that said, a long time ago, and I mean a long time, like maybe 10 episodes, maybe more ago, I've talked about the mechanics of using overdrive in combat. And although overdrive mechanics in ground combat are a lot more complicated than scale ones, I've yet to touch around the scale ones. And just to make you a brief summary of what overdrive exactly is, it's basically stands for overclocking gear. It's basically the ability that if you have 3,000 what you call it, BPs? No, TPs. I'm sorry, technical points. You can basically trigger that ability to give you a tremendous boost in attack efficiency, power, and lower significantly the secondary cooldown of the cooldown of every ability, and also lends you a tertiary cooldown for the arts, which it's a great mechanic. Obviously, it's like a super mode that basically enhances you for a couple of seconds, and then you have abilities you can gain access by comboing certain arts together, or certain types of arts. I've already talked about the color combination you can do with them. Let's not talk about this right now, because basically that you've most likely already know about this, and I've already linked you to pages that do talk about this in more depth. What I wanted to talk about is briefly touch on the overdrive and scale battle mechanics. And luckily for me, just like I said, they are much easier. Of course, it's the same thing that you need at least 3,000 GP or TP to access the ability, but there are a few differences. For one, color combinations and partying bonuses do not apply here. Well, they do apply in some fashion, but not in the way that you understand. Since scales don't have color combination of arts, and since they don't have, well, they largely don't have secondary effects or chaining effects, it's much harder for, well, it's actually not harder for scale, but it's impossible to chain attacks by increasing some, while giving yourself passive abilities during the overdrive mode with the scale. So, of course, you need 3,000 GPs or gear points to access the overdrive mechanics, and the first thing you gotta notice is, of course, not only will your power increase, but also that your scale fuel is not consumed during that time. Since every time you engage a battle, the scale does consume fuel. Every time you fly, the scale does consume fuel. Attacks and arts consume fuel. During the overdrive, spam that shit as much as you want, because it's absolutely free, and it is the case for absolutely every single scale frame in the game, meaning that you can access to almost everything very easily, or just really give the enemy the shit of its time if you're able to place and chain your attacks accordingly. The other thing that you're gonna be noticing is that cockpit time, the problem where basically you're like inside of the cockpit, which lets you completely refuel your cooldown and your arts, happens much more frequently during overdrive in the scale, and that is very, very good. It actually helps you a lot, especially when you have big arts cooldown, which is like a 60-second cooldown. on a heart. So basically, if you just like use a big art, there's a pretty good chance that you'll enter conflict time and also refuel that attack almost immediately. It's great. And there are other type of bonuses, but there are the type of varying effects to scale frames, but they all vary around the frame itself. And we're almost out to the halfway point of the mission, so we'll just let the montages keep running. Since, like I said, there's like a middle point in the mission where you need to get a certain amount of lobsters. Because the mission is divided actually in two sections, the first part and the second part. There's also a third part, but that's a completely different thing. To basically access the second part and spawning the other 48 other lobsters, you basically need to get those 49 lobsters to begin with. Let's go on to the cutscene. Something more to it. Well, look at that, a grown man out collecting toys. Just who do you know I am? Seriously, man, what? Oh, a threat. My, I have a chills. Hurry then. Hurry and catch me. Find me and you know who I am. But who are you, really? Yeah, the slit on the body's racing around the worthless town, trying to play hero. I prepared a special present for you today, my little puppet. Oops. Tell me what it is, Daddy. Tell me, tell me. Well, my dear, it's a fabulous murder party. Oh, god damn. You must have one hell of a night. This is the side I wanted to test new scales, right? No, they're explaining a new housing atonement here. The Malagats were holding out an outdoor movie screening for Scale Wars 2 to Skeleton. Oh my god. What's going on here? Well, don't you see that it's Scale Wars 2 to Skeleton? Oh, what's that lobster doing here? That seems bad. Holy shit. Yeah, that's pretty bad. All things considered. Happy birthday, Cross! I went ahead and blew up the candles for you. Do you like that? Just a little reward for Daddy for collecting so many of my little babies. Oh, if you don't hurry and find the other 50 hundreds. More obvious fool will die. Better get angry, shout, cry, break down for me. This is how I'm ending because of you. You are! Now, run. Runners! Start running. That's a very interesting character. But just like the way he utilizes the blood lobs. Anyway, we shall keep going to the mission. So yeah, there's like another solid 50 that you can get here. So there's that. Alright, so like I said, it was another part that I wanted to talk about overdrive scale mechanics. And that is that there are various effects depending of what kind of overdrive you are. If you change scale when you enter overdrive, there's a certain type of text that will appear saying what type of overdrive you just entered in. And of course that changes between actual scale frames. I don't know if there's a way to actually change that frame boosted stats to create like the ultimate one, but as far as I'm aware, there are not. There are some like Agate, for example, which is a type of overdrive and that gives you a certain boost in artifaction. But in order, the kind of boost that you get from those specific scales overdrive modes are hit point generation, so basically regain health during battle constantly. It's pretty sure it's not like a high pace, but considering that this game thrives on burst damage and not sustained combat, it's hard to say. Well, although you can sustain combat pretty heavily in this game, it's just it thrives so much on burst damage for an RPG by buffing and debuffing the enemy, so it's hard to say. But one of them does allow you to have hit point generation. The other one is complete attack reflection. Now, not to say that you're invulnerable while doing this, but to say that you can reflect certain type of effects. So whether physical, ether, or depending of what the attack is, you can basically reflect a large portion of the damage done. The other one is self-damage, which is pretty fucking useless, but it's basically like a spike counter. By being nearby enemy targets, it will basically damage them. So like I said, it's like a spike damage that you see in the original Xenoblade Chronicles that gives you like a general idea of how the mechanic kind of works. Not to say that it absolutely works like that, but if you want like a comparison, that's the closest thing I have for you. It's like an area damage passive. And the last one is actually pretty self-explanatory. It's basically having higher stats, so getting a higher attack speed, damage, cooldown reduction, things like that. Oh, by the way, this is another thing I wanted to mention. While in Overdrive in ground mode, you do have access to theory cooldowns and secondary cooldowns on your arts, and not only that, but the cooldowns in Overdrive are much faster. That does not apply in scale combat. Unfortunately, this is something I really want, but this is what cut pick time is for anyway, is that the cooldown just does not lower. Since the cooldown are much longer in scale, typically because you have so much burst damage potential, or in scale combat, it's really annoying that the cooldowns isn't lower, especially when most of my arts are like 40 to 60 seconds cooldown, and the ones are not damage based, like shield is only 20 seconds, that gives me the only potential stats boost up. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time I get it. They don't want to make the thing too overpowered, and I understand the concept behind it. It's just a bit annoying that you cannot get access to those very easily, so to say. So I don't like the fact that cooldown does not regenerate very faster, but anyway, boosted stat, just attack speed, attack damage, defense is up, all of that stuff. I don't think it messes too much with your potential stats, but then again, I'm not exactly sure, and then again, I've already talked about this in a previous video. Actually, very early on, like maybe episode 7, I've talked about how the stats work in this game in sort of depth, like pretty evenly. Who the fuck cares by now? But yeah, that's about everything you need to know about scale mechanics in Overdrive. For more details, of course, I'll leave the links in the description if you want to know what exactly is what, and that'll give you a great idea about how these works. I'll also link you to some videos if you want to get a better understanding of how it works. As of now, we're almost done with the mission, actually. Well, we're almost done for the mission for today, actually, I should say. As we get to 93 Lobster and 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. Now, like I said, I'm gonna end at 98 only because there's no point. Well, I can't get 99, and there's no point to me actually getting the 99th as of now. So I should get another one here. There we go, and then there's just gonna be the last one. Come on, just get it, man. Just get it. And there we go. With that done, that's gonna be it for now. So thank you everyone for watching. My name is Overdrive, and I'll see you all next time.